salty Gulf Coast to the rolling high plains, to the piney woods in the east. All across our dear Texas, folks need good food to eat. Our farmers and ranchers are heroes. They've always made Texas great. Texas agriculture matters. It's the heart of the Lone Star State. Oh, Texas got it all, y'all.
Well, howdy, neighbors. I'm your Texas Agriculture Commissioner, Sid Miller. Hey, thank you for joining us for another episode of Texas Agriculture Matters right here on RFD TV. Hey, today we're going to talk about one of the oldest crops grown in the Lone Star State, wheat. Now, since the 1700s, wheat has been a major cash crop in Texas. Texas ranks as the third largest producer of wheat in the United States, harvesting over 3 million acres annually. This industry is valued at more than $900 million here in Texas, highlighting the economic significance of this versatile crop. Nationally, wheat farms a $10 billion industry, meeting domestic demand and serving as a major export commodity worldwide. Half of the wheat produced in Texas is exported to foreign markets every year. Did you know that the average adult in America consumes about 53 pounds of bread? That's annually. Now, imagine how much bread the whole globe eats. That's a lot. There are 6 classes of wheat. You've got soft white, hard white, durum, hard red winter, hard red spring, and soft red winter. I know that's confusing. In Texas here, though, the most common class of wheat is hard red winter wheat. This variety is prized for its superior milling and baking qualities and is often used for pan bread. Wheat extends far beyond food products, though it can be found in numerous everyday household goods, ranging from postage stamps to shampoo and conditioner. Who knew? Across the United States, the wheat industry employs over 23 million people, accounting for about 15% of the total U.S. employment. It supports jobs in rural communities through mills and bakeries and grocery stores and businesses, helping keep those communities thriving. Wheat is a cornerstone crop of agriculture due to its remarkable versatility and economic impact locally, nationally, and of course globally. Now, let's join Tammy Arnder as she heads off to meet Todd Westerfield, a wheat farmer down in Moody, Texas. Wheat, just another way Texas agriculture matters.
If you travel about 30 miles southwest of Waco, you'll wind up in this wheat field. It's one of the major rotational crops of Todd Westerfield.
So we've always grown wheat. We've stuck primarily to it for a rotational standpoint. With our corn ground, we have about a third of our acres or a little bit lighter ground that we like to rotate between corn and wheat. The rest of our acres we rotate between corn and cotton.
Westerfield is a 5th-generation farmer. His dad has just retired this year, so he now takes over in charge of all 5,300 acres. Now, corn is the predominant acre grabber on this operation, but wheat is his go-to rotational crop.
So with wheat, we get a lot of organic matter that gets back into the ground. Typically, the rule of thumb is the next year, if you plant corn behind wheat ground, it's going to be the most moisture compared to anything behind corn or cotton. Cotton will typically be your driest ground that next year, wheat will be your wettest. And so down here in Central Texas, where you're not guaranteed of normal rainfall or a normal weather pattern, it's nice to have that as a luxury on the backside.
Westerfield says this area works well for his hard red winter wheat as long as Mother Nature cooperates.
Our big limiting factor with winter wheats down here is our temperatures during the winter. If we happen to get a cold stretch of weather during the winter, we can usually make some pretty good wheat. But again, that's a limiting factor down here. And we do deal with a lot of late frost that we also have to watch that last year actually did get us a little bit.
Texas is the 3rd largest producer of wheat in the United States, with approximately 3.4 million acres. Overall, wheat is a significant crop in the Lone Star State for food use and winter pasture.
wheat that we grow, with it being hard red winter, will grade out going into flour and stuff like that. Most of the softs that you see are going to go into cracker production and stuff like that. But this is the, with corn, it's more commercial going into feedstuffs, but this is going into, the human rotation of stuff, if you want to put it that way. And so that's kind of cool to grow it and, see that you've got a good quality product and stuff. And that's one part that's different with it than the other crops that we grow.
Westerfeld is fond of growing this grain, even though there are challenges and the prices haven't always been great.
I love the crop. It's probably one of my favorite crops throughout the growing season to watch grow. It's just at harvest time, it's usually one of the most hectic because it can be affected by weather. Usually that's the wettest time of year is when we're trying to harvest wheat. So there's a lot of headaches that come with it, but it's a very fun crop to grow. The prices haven't been where they could be, here over the last decade, really, aside from when it got the bump during the Ukraine war going on and stuff like that. But it's still one of our favorite crops, and we do love to rotate. And so it's one that will stick with us throughout the rest of my career.
Here at TAW Farms, the passion for growing shows, whether it's wheat, corn, or cotton. Westerfeld says it means something to him to know that he's doing his part in Moody, Texas, to help clothe and feed the world.
So it really brings you a lot of pride in that you're carrying it forward, because that is something that I think over the next 10 years is going to be a challenge as you see land start moving from, your older generation down into this youth. Plus with the Austin and DFW population boom through this, the Texas Triangle, or however they put it, that's something that we're fighting as well. And so we're doing everything we can to try to protect the farmland, even if it's at our own personal cost financially, just to make sure that it stays in that. And hopefully by the time my son gets old enough to start farming, it's still there for him to carry on and continue that tradition.
I'm Tammy Arender for Texas Agriculture Matters.
Hey, today it's my pleasure to have Donnie Schwertner joining me. Now, Donnie is the owner and operator of Top Tier Grain and Feed Company. Donnie, good to see you again.
Morning,
thanks for being with us today.
Yes, sir.
Tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about yourself. How did you get into grain and feed business?
How did I get in the grain and feed business? Long story. My dad was a fourth generation farmer. Out of high school, I realized there wasn't enough land for all of us, and took a job at the cotton gin. In season, pulling trailers and
where was this?
This is in Miles, Texas.
Okay.
Just outside of San Angelo.
Okay.
The guy that was running the feed mill had quit previous to cotton season. So after cotton season, I applied for that job, started there running the feed mill 25 years ago, and worked my way up to owning the thing and building a 110 car shuttle facility and everything right there in the heart of Miles, Texas.
Now, you've been the past president of the Texas Grain and Feed Association, right?
Yeah, I was past chairman of the board. Yes, I was on there for 6 years, served as chairman for one. Now I serve my 7th year as immediate past chairman.
So what all do those duties entail? What's your responsibilities, and what are they today?
It was a little more during my tenure as chairman than normally because we changed CEOs. So there was a lull in there between our old CEO and our new. So I actually kind of ran the thing, not by myself, but with 3 or 4 other board members for that 4 or 5 months till we got our new board, our new chairman in. In that time, we have developed some new avenues to get to our members better and have increased membership and have done a lot. So that's kind of now, as immediate past chairman, I'm on a couple committees and also advise if they need got any questions or anything about the organization.
We grow a lot of wheat in Texas.
Yes,
a lot
sir.
of it we harvest, but there's a lot of wheat that's just grazed out. For our listeners that aren't familiar with all the different varieties of wheat, kind of explain what type of wheat we have and what we grow.
If you're going to graze wheat, it's going to be a beardless variety, the variety that doesn't have the sticker on top, I call it.
The whiskers.
The whiskers, yeah. And that's what's normally grazed and baled.
Yeah.
We grow Gallagher, the TAM varieties that were developed in Texas A&M, your West Breads, Green Hammer, Smith's Gold. The varieties are ever changing. They're all hybrids, and they try to adapt them to the climate.
Now, are those hard red winter wheat? Are they soft? What category do those fall
Actually,
in?
those fall in the hard red winter wheat title.
Yeah.
Hard red wheat can be hard red winter. It can be hard red spring.
Okay.
Spring wheat is planted further down in Uvalde area, down where it gets warmer faster, stays warmer. And so you'll see hard red grown through, I want to say, the I-20 corridor on down.
So when is wheat planted? I mean, we got so many areas of Texas. When does the planting start, and where will it end?
Planting starts, normally in our area around San Angelo, we'll start in October, November as the cotton comes off.
Okay.
And we'll plant all the way into December and January because the later we get, the better off. We miss those late freezes that can damage. And wheat can be planted, further south later on. The spring wheat is planted much later than that.
Okay. The big buzzword in agriculture is sustainability and regenerative. So, tell us how, the sustainability buzz has affected the wheat industry.
We've seen a lot of transformation from the conventional harvesting equipment to the conventional header to what they call a Shelburne header that picks only the seeds of the wheat and leaves the straw intact standing up. A lot of our guys have gone to doing that, letting it deteriorate in nature, and then going in, if they're going to plant wheat, just right back in that stubble. It conserves the moisture, it conserves the dirt, doesn't let it wash, or they go in and strip till and put cotton in that land.
So it acts as its own cover crop.
It does.
Its own mulch. Like we say in the horticulture industry.
Yes.
And that stops evaporation, I guess, keeps weed suppression.
And keeps the dirt from blowing, which is common in West Texas. And
big problem.
Yeah, big problem.
Hey, folks, I hate to, but we got to take a break. But we're going to be right back here on Texas Agriculture Matters. Stay tuned. Well, neighbors, welcome back to Texas Agriculture Matters. Hey, I'm your host, Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller. Now, let's continue our talk with Donnie Schwertner about Texas wheat. Texas is known for, being big. Everything's bigger than Texas, right? Yeah. How big is the wheat industry? How many acres? What is it? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? What do we got?
Up and down. 2020, there was 60 million bushels produced, and 21 was 74. 22, we had a drought.
Yeah, I remember.
39.
Ooh.
So you can see how drought impacts the wheat. And then in 23 and 24, about 77, 78 million bushels were produced.
What does that translate into acres?
2.45 million acres in 2024 at an average yield of 32 bushels.
Okay. So it's no lightweight crop for Texas.
Oh no, it's a big part of Texas agriculture.
It's one of the top 5 crops.
Oh yeah,
obviously behind cotton.
Yes,
we'll say everything's behind cotton, right?
yeah.
So, do we export this wheat? Do we eat it all? Where do we fit in the global market with our wheat?
We in the U.S. export 85% of the wheat grown in the nation.
Wow, 85%.
85% is what we export. Of course, there's up in the north, there's different kinds of wheat that make different kinds of stuff. Our hard red is mainly made into flour, which is made into bread. We at my facility loaded on a rail car and it's shipped to the Gulf or into Mexico. From the Gulf, it goes into a Caribbean market like Haiti, Venezuela, the Dominican Republic, Brazil, Nigeria. We have shipped some to India.
Wow.
And as I mentioned before, some of it goes straight into Mexico. And in Mexico, it goes to the flour mills.
Tortillas.
Tortillas. Mexico's a big flour user.
Oh, yeah.
Also, depending on global markets, wheat can be used as cattle feed and has.
Oh, yeah.
We actually had this year, what happens to wheat if we get too much rain when it's ready, it tends to sprout in the head. And when it sprouts in the head,
That's a problem.
it's no longer usable for flour because the falling number goes to nothing.
Right.
So then it becomes feed. And we can feed wheat to animals and have.
Sure. Just have to be careful how much.
Yes,
especially in horses. It's
they
very touchy.
They can't use as much as they can corn or anything like
right.
dairy
oats.
cow.
Sure. So how does the Texas wheat production contribute to the overall economy of Texas? What would you say to that?
I would say that it's a vital site. I mean, when you plant that many acres, the equipment you buy, the stuff the farmers, the producers that make this money go to town and buy things that sustain the towns and the car dealerships and the tractor dealerships and your grocery stores and all your housing markets
Sure.
and everything. They're a big part of that.
Well, it has a lot of influence in. So, in your opinion, why does Texas agriculture matter?
Why does Texas agriculture matter? Without agriculture, none of us would be here. You know that.
I know
we
that.
eat 3 times a day, and what we produce, you see all these new housing developments and all coming from a guy that lives in a countryside like I do, and you drive through and you see all these houses. I mean, like, we have a challenge to feed these people, and that's our job, and that's Texas agriculture matters all the way from the grapes that make the wine to the wheat that makes the bread.
There you go. Hey, folks, let's go take a look at another one of our great Go Texan partners. For over 20 years, the Texas Department of Agriculture's Go Texan program has helped promote products made right here in the Lone Star State. From boots to salsa, Go Texan members make the best stuff on earth. Now, friends, let's take a look at one of these fine Texas businesses and why they are Go Texan proud.
Go Texan every day.
Well, the knitted pineapple started off as my little side project, and it became a small business. I knit and crochet and make home accessories, just basically everything out of yarn. And it's anything handmade, and it's just a nice creative outlet that turned into a little small business. I do hats, scarves, home accessories, decor, even for the holidays. So I can do Christmas decor, fall decor. I've made knitted pumpkins. It's a whole thing. I learned how to knit when I was in college. A friend had taught me. And then at that same time, another friend had taught me to crochet. So I do knitting and crocheting. And I just recently started adding in needle punching. Needle punching, again, is another yarn hobby item. But what it is you run the yarn through this tool and you're just punching into monk's cloth. And it makes this really cool design. And it's smooth on one side and loopy on the other. So it almost looks like a rug. And it's a great way to pass the time. It's something that keeps your hands busy so that you can focus on other things, or like if you're waiting for a doctor's appointment, you can just work a few rows while you're waiting, and it's just something nice to do. I would say knitting and crocheting and just needle crafts in general are very therapeutic. It's actually also very good for your brain because you're using both hands. So you're using your right side of your brain and your left side. So it's actually very good for not only cognitive skills, but just brain health. It's always such an honor to see somebody wearing something that I've made. And I've done a few shows now here in Texas where I've had repeat customers come up wearing something I've made, buying more stuff. And it's just so touching, especially to see how much they appreciate it and love the item. Because, hand knit and hand crocheted, anything by hand isn't going to be super, super inexpensive, but it's not going to break the bank either. But it's just so neat to see that they value something that's handmade, that takes time and energy. I actually have a website, so you can buy my products at theknittedpineapple.com. And during the fall and winter seasons, I'm at various shows around town, like in Cedar Park, Georgetown, Salado even. Pineapple is a symbol of hospitality. And so I love pineapples for that reason. And I feel like when somebody is wearing something that's handmade, they can just feel the hospitality of the item, or just they feel cared for or special. And I feel like that's very important. And again, knitting is my thing. My favorite is merino wool because it is machine washable, but yet it's real wool, but it's not going to be scratchy like that Highland Peruvian stuff. I love this state. I love the program. I think the Texas Department of Agriculture is a great agency. And why not join forces with not only a great agency, but other local artisans and small businesses to promote great Texas products? Everything that we do here is pretty phenomenal, and why not share it with not only the United States, but the rest of the world? I really hope that when somebody buys something that I've made and they wear it that they just feel beautiful and confident and special.
You're Texan every day.
Well, neighbors, thank you for joining us for another episode of Texas Agriculture Matters. Hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Texas grown wheat. Wheat farming has a rich history in Texas, reflecting cultural traditions and agriculture practices passed down through generations. This crop plays a crucial role in agriculture, contributing significantly to our state's food security. It's no wonder that today, other than cotton, wheat is on more land and more area than any other commercial crop and continues to be the most important food grain source for humans. Now, as always, I'd like to close by saying thanks to every Texas farmer and rancher who works from sunrise to sunset to help keep our rural heritage alive. And finally, here's today's cowboy logic. You know, it's better to keep your mouth shut and look stupid than to open it and prove it. Thank you. God bless. And remember, friends, Texas agriculture matters.
From the salty Gulf Coast to the rolling high plains, to the piney woods in the east, all across our dear Texas, folks need good food to eat. Our farmers and ranchers are heroes. They've always made Texas great. Texas agriculture matters. It's the heart of the Lone Star State.
Oh, Texas got it all, y'all.